Hi there, welcome back to Bernina Club. It is July already. Today I'm going to be showing you the steps I have done on my stitching to make a knitting bag. I never ever make knitting bags because I don't knit. So I thought I'd better get into gear and make something for all the knitters because there's a lot of my ladies that sew and embroider and knit. So this is the knitting bag. It's a free pattern from Clover. And the idea is you put your wool inside here and your wool comes out the top of your knitting bag. So instead of it rolling around on the ground and the cat getting it, you can pull your wool out through the top here. Some of my ladies who possibly drink alcohol, they thought it was a wine bottle carrier and the wine bottle fits in perfectly in there, and then they decided they could have a straw coming out the top. So that was pretty funny, but yeah, I don't drink, so I did not do that. Made a little handle for a carry handle, and what I've done on my one is I've done satin stitching across rows of plain fabric, and then I've gone over the top of them and done some of my directional stitching on my machine. And then on the other side, I've chosen a fabric that's already pre-printed, and I decided I'd do some triple straight stitching to highlight the pre-printed fabric, which was a lot of fun but took a lot longer than I thought. So I've done two different types of work on here. So on the one I'm going to show you today, what I have done is I have had to pre-do it because it takes so long, but I'll show you how to do it. So I've satin stitched on some plain fabric, and then I've done directional stitching across on it, and then I've done triple straight stitch on my patterned fabric, and then done a nice triple stitch through where I've joined the two fabrics together. This could all be done in one fabric, but I've chosen it to be done in two, and I've used Soft and Stable as my product inside between the layers, and I've got a plain fabric for the inside of this particular one, whereas I've done the patterned fabric in there, and I've just interfaced that plain fabric. Okay, so I'll show you the steps to get to that stage. So first off, this was my patterned fabric that I chose to use, and I have just put a lightweight interfacing on the back and then the Soft and Stable on the back of that. So on this particular machine, I've put my 1D foot on, which is my dual feed. Most of you will have a triple straight stitch on your machine. On the older machines, you have a triple straight stitch and a zigzag, which means you can triple straight stitch or you can put a width on and triple zigzag. And on the newer machines, you've got a triple straight stitch and a triple zigzag separately as their own stitch. So I'm going to move over so you can see in the mirror what I'm pushing. So here I've got my triple straight stitch. So my first stitch is stitch number one is straight sewing. Then I've got zigzag, then I've got overlock, then I've got mending, then I've got my forward and reverse feeding straight stitch, and then I've got triple stitch. So you can see here, I'm going to put my triple straight stitch on. The default setting is 3, okay? And I can lengthen it here and make my stitch length longer, and you can see on the screen that my stitch length is going longer and it's turned yellow, all right? If I want to triple zigzag on this machine, I just push triple zigzag and it will triple zigzag. It looks like a single stitch, but it's a triple stitch. But on your other machines, your triple zigzag and straight stitch are together, and all you do is put on a zigzag, okay? But on this machine, we've got separate stitches. So I'm just going to leave it on straight stitch, and I'll just leave the length on 3, that's fine, and I'm going to show you how you do it. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to put on my favorite thread, which is my Madeira Poly Neon thread, and this is what I use when I'm doing my triple stitching. It's lovely and fine, and it gives a little bit of a shiny finish. Okay, so one thing we've found out is a lot of people are not taking care when they're threading their machines, and so they're missing the most important step of threading a machine, which is to have your foot up and to make sure it's clicked up into here properly and going through your tensions properly. So I've got my foot up, I'm holding my thread, I'm going down through my tension unit, then I know that everything is open while I'm threading. So I'm getting a nice tight thread tension through here before I put my foot down and I thread my needle. So it's very, very important to do that. And we're finding a few people are not doing that. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you. Oh, I'm going to take that out of the bobbin because I was working with some beautiful soft Metroflock thread in my bobbin doing some fancy work. So I'm taking that out because I just want ordinary thread. So I'm just going to put a ordinary thread in the bobbin here. And I'm going to show you the difference with using the two bobbin cases as well today, or threading the eye of the bobbin case. So this is my standard bobbin case, and this is my bobbin case that's got a tighter tension. Actually, I'll put black in there so you can actually see. Oh, that's good because that thread's running out. I'll put a black bobbin in there so you can see it because it will show up much better. So this bobbin case has got a tighter bobbin tension. So it would be just like threading the eye of the bobbin case. All right. So I'm just going to put my ordinary bobbin case in first with my triple straight stitch. Okay. And that's fine for what I'm doing now, but later on we'll want to chop and change it around. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the steps I did. So first of all, let me show you on the screen. So you can all see that screen clearly, checking with the cameraman.
Remember it reverses.
Pardon?
Remember it reverses.
Oh yeah, so it's opposite on what you see. So you've got some of you have got a lock off button, which is a knot on your machines. You can push that and it will knot at the beginning, and you can ask it to knot at the end. But on these ones, we go through to settings, and we go to straight sew zigzag, and we can push the knot on at the beginning. That means it's going to knot 4 times at the beginning, and then I can push the hand, and I can go to the scissors, and I can turn that off or turn that on. That means it's going to knot at the end when I push my scissors. So that's what I would like to have set for what I'm doing now, but I'm going to take it off later to show you. Okay? So you just take it off by pushing that button. All right? So triple straight stitch, 3 length, and we're ready to go. I've told my machine I've got a 1D foot on, and I've got my 9mm plate on. My tension's all set on normal, so let's get going. So first of all, you can put your thread through your foot by, if you want to, you can just put your thread through your foot like that, and then just pull, oh, where's the right thread that I'm pulling? Pull your thread down through there, because you don't need to bring your bobbin thread up. Your jewel feed back on, you've got your thread at the top. So in all my wisdom, I decided that I would do this, not realizing it was quite a lot of work, but you know what, it was quite enjoyable because it made me slow down, and I am going to use my needle stop down function. So my needle is down in the work, so every time I stop sewing, the needle will be down. Now when you do the triple straight stitch, what it does is, because I've asked it to lock at the beginning, it's going to lock at the beginning. Now it's going to go forward and reverse, so I can go, and I'm going about 2 mils away. I'm going to go forward and reverse. When I get to the corner, 2, 3. So I'm going to go forward, back, forward. Lift my work up and turn. See if it's far enough away from this edge, and then I can carry on. So forward, back, forward, go to the end. Remember, your last one needs to go forward, back, forward, forward, back, forward. If you think that's close enough, no, I don't. I'm going to do one more. Stop on the forward motion, turn it and check it's far enough away from your fabric where it's printed, and now I can go buzzing along. Now to get a more definite finish, I can actually take my tension down or put my yellow bobbin case. So watch this. I'm now using my tension on my machine, and I'm touching the button, and when I move my straight stitch down, can you see that turned yellow? And I'm taking my top tension down lower, okay? So what that's doing is pulling my top tension down to give me a more definite stitch. So I've just changed my tension, or I'd put on my yellow bobbin case, okay? Not so bad on this because I've got a thick product, but just so you know how you do it. So forward, back, forward, not close enough, one more, forward, back, forward. Okay, and then turn. So you can see how long it took me. It was quite a long process, but I really enjoyed it. And I want to go further because I'm doing a point, and away you go. And you do not have to be very definite with how far away it is from the edge because it will still look amazing. Don't go measuring it or anything, it's just to give you a feature. Forward and turn. So it's quite a lot of fun. If I wanted a longer stitch length, I will lengthen that out and you'll see the difference here. Now you'll see it quite different. But I did not want it that long because they were very small areas. One more forward, back, forward. So you'll see very clearly here in a second. See, by doing it too long, when I go to here, those two pieces are nearly touching, which is not what you'd want. So I'm just going to come down here and I will stop. Okay, and I'm going to put hot pink so you can see it really clearly in a minute. So you can see you don't really want to use a long stitch when you're doing this. You want a nice short stitch because you need to get round the small areas. And I did that over the whole piece of fabric. That was quite fun. And you're using your machine, you're using your start-stop button, your lock-off button, locking off button, your scissors. So yeah, it was quite fun. So that's what I did on the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to take that thread off and I'm going to use a normal thread, just a normal mesh seam, and you'll see the difference, but with the triple straight stitch. Okay, so triple straight stitch. Now this time I'm going to clear my tension and I'm going to use my yellow bobbin case and I'm going to have black thread in my bobbin. And if you don't want to bring your thread down through, move it, you can just thread it through there like that. So I'm going to use my yellow bobbin case and I'll leave this in now because you'll see why I'm going to do it, because we're going to do quite a lot of fancy stitching. But I don't always use this thread, okay? I like the silkiness of the thread, but just to show you if you've got ordinary thread at home. Now, here's what you're going to need to do. When you're using a plain fabric, yes, you do need to interface it, but sometimes that's not enough, so you need to put tearaway behind there because we want to make it really firm. So this is supposed to be done with a heavy fabric, so I would actually put 2 layers of tearaway in underneath. And I draw my rows of stitching if I'm on my plain fabric. So first of all, I'm just going to show you the triple straight stitch and I'm going to do it nice and long so you can see it. With ordinary thread, you get quite a different finish. And I've got black in my bobbin. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on from here and show you the satin stitching. So when you're using ordinary thread, you don't get as nice a look from silky thread. So I just want you to understand and I want to show you this. So I'm just going to go to a fancy pattern and I'm going to go to a satin stitch and I'm just going to pick one of my favorite, which is 417, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So Bernina, they set their stitch lengths a little bit far away for my liking, so I like to make it smaller. So I've gone from, hang on, I'll just get the settings, 7.4, and I'm going to go to 5.3, and you'll see the difference. I'm just going to push pattern end, and I'm going to cut because I just want to show you the back of it. Okay, so this is a tightened bobbin tension, and you can see how perfect my satin stitch is. So I've put black in the bobbin so you can see what it looks like, and that's what a nice tight tension does. Okay, let me, did you get that? Sorry, I moved it away quite quickly. Let me show you now what happens when I put in my thicker thread, not necessarily ordinary thread, but my thicker thread, which is a 12 weight auriful. Yep, a 12 weight auriful. And I'm just going to clear my satin stitch. I'm going to use the Bernina setting for my satin stitch. And you need to understand every time you change your thread, you will change your stitch length. Okay? I always find it easier just to do this. Okay. So now I've got my thick thread, and I'm going to do my normal setting. Because I have got a thick thread, I don't think I want to tighten it. Pattern ends. And it's pulled it through, not as much because I've got a thicker thread. Okay, so just showing you the difference. Now I would probably go a little bit closer because I always like it really, really, really satin stitchy. So I like it closer. So I'm just going to go to 6 point, not too close because it still needs to feed. So you go as close as your machine will allow you. I'll just go beside it so you can see it. Much nicer. That's my preference. Okay. Pattern end, lock it off. Now you will see the difference between this one and this one. That's much better. Okay, I wouldn't normally put black in the bobbin, but I just want to show you. Now you'll notice you get a bit of black up when you lock off. They can be pulled to the back, so just be aware you would not normally put black in the bobbin. I just want to show you the tension. Okay. So you can still have the ability to change the tension tighter if you need to. Now, so the first thing I did was I drew my lines here, and then I have a test sample always beside me, and I do the same thing. So normally what I would do is I would put my soft and stable after my fabric and then my tearaway on the back, and I do it through all layers so I know that is the finish I'm going to have on here. Okay, so first thing is do all your satin stitching. The next thing is I have used some directional stitches. Now some of you will have these, so I'm going to go back to the machine. So how do you know if you've got certain stitches on your machine? So if you own an Artista 170, an Artista 180, an Artista 200, 1630 Bernina, or a 780 Bernina, or a 790 Bernina, or an 830 Bernina, or an 880, you will have these stitches. So they go back 20 or 30 years, but some people don't know they've got them. So how you know if you've got them, you go to the fancy stitches. And you can see on your fancy stitches, some of the stitches have got a cross. See down here, they've got a cross. That means that all these stitches are directional stitches. Show you again, there's another page of them. So some of you have got a cross. Now that means you've got fancy stitches, and on these machines I can extend this out and I can have a look. So these ones here are all beautiful fancy stitches. Oh, I can't do it because I've got the wrong foot on. So you have to change your foot and use the correct foot. And the correct foot for these stitches is 40C. These machines are far too clever. Okay, it wouldn't let me select it because I had the wrong foot on. So now it knows it's got a 40C foot on, and now it will let me stitch that stitch. Okay, so I went over the top of the stitches and I used these fancy stitches, and by using the fancy stitches in my thicker thread you can get a great result. But on this one here I just used a variegated thread, but let me just show you. So on this one, this is the fancy stitches, and I have got the foot's correct, and I have got my soft and stable in there, and I went over the top with these stitches. Now what these stitches do, you'll notice, is they sew in 16 different directions. So they go backwards, they go sideways, they go all over the place. And by using a thicker thread you can get a really, really nice heavy result. And I'll ask it to do one so I can show you. Now, how do you know how to keep this straight? Okay, so what I do is, normally this would be cut off. I use the side, the straight edge, and I keep it horizontal with the side of my machine. So when it's moving forwards and backwards and sideways, that's my guide. Okay, you can see from all my practicing here. Now, what if you pick a design that doesn't go forwards? Some of them go sideways, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to choose a design that goes sideways. So I can't physically sew it this way, because watch what happens. If I sew it this way and my design, I need it to go that way, I have to physically move my fabric. So you watch. This design is sewing in 16 different directions. And it's not an embroidery machine, these are just standard designs on this machine. But you can see my cute little bird, he's going the wrong way. You see? So unless I want my bird going that way, I have to physically turn my fabric all the way around this way to get my bird going the right way. Okay, so you've got to look at the pictures the way I'm going to show you. The way they are shown on the screen is the way they're going to sew. So that teddy bear is going to be shown that way, but the train is going to sew the opposite way. So you really need to look at the designs and how they are to know which way they're going to sew. Okay, so he's up the normal way, the frog's up the normal way, but the bird I need to turn sideways, the train, the truck, the bib's up the right way, the foot's up the right way, and I'm not sure why you'd ever want to sew a dummy, but it's up the right way. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you back to these designs, and you can see the heart I would need to turn, this heart I'd need to turn, but all these are going the correct way if that's the way you want to sew. So if I wanted to sew 509, all I do is if I want to sew it across this way, is I'm just going to push my button and show you. Just keep my work nice and straight and it will sew that design. And that's a beautiful satin stitch, but it's really, really big. And you would normally think you would have to have a embroidery machine to sew these, but you don't. They will automatically sew beautiful. And I'll push pattern end, and it will finish at the end of that design, and I can push the scissor. Isn't that amazing? And that's with black thread on my bobbin. Okay, so I can even tighten that more by tightening my bobbin. So what you've got to understand is every single thread you do, you try, and you see the difference in it, because I had tearaway, then no tearaway. It actually is better without the tearaway on there. It gave me a nice consistent satin stitch. But every single stitch you do, before you're doing it on here, you test it on your fabric. So I went all one way with my satin stitches, and then I did directional stitching with a thinner thread on here. I did my triple straight stitches on here, and then I joined it together with a triple stitch. So as soon as we come back after the break, I'm going to show you how to join them all together. So I will see you shortly.